Christopher, don't lie to me, man. I'll put it right out.
All right. I hardly noticed it. I tell you. I mean,
Okay.
I don't know. It must be the coke. Sorry. Did I say that out loud?
How dare you?
Joking.
That's a bad drug. Don't you understand?
That's a drug. I had access. I mean, you're in this position all the time, I'm sure, but, you know, having access to like the best of something. I knew a guy in college who was the son of an oil minister from a country I won't name just to keep me out of trouble. He had a private jet. He used to fly to Colombia. He had a diplomatic bag so he could bring anything into the country.
Oh, my God.
He'd bring this shit into the country, and he was like in this frat, and I knew someone who was in the frat, and I was never a frat boy at all, but they would invite me, and like these like yellow rocks of coke, you know, and they'd like, and it was I went to this dumbass college where everybody was rich, so the drug scene there was off the charts. And like I've done the best coke there is, right? I mean,
Right.
I know the guy who invented MDMA. It's like I had these really good connections for drugs, and coke sucks. The best coke in the world is shit.
The
I
best?
don't get it.
Wow.
I mean, my sense is that it affects a certain personality structure in a really pleasant way. And I don't have that structure. So for me, hallucinogens are like, boom, that's pushing my button, right?
Right.
Coke, it just made me fucking nervous and drink too much.
Well, you're a self-deprecating guy, and you joke around about a lot, and you're also introspective. And I think that one of the things that people don't like about people that are coked up is that they want to talk about themselves. They want to tell you how fucking badass they are. They want to brag. They want to talk about like making money. We're gonna buy this forest. We're gonna fucking what I mean. Like Mike Young used to always talk about how people on coke always want to start a business with you, and it's really kind of true. It's like they always have these
enthusiasm.
They have these crazy grand plans, and
Yeah.
it's just. I've never been interested in it. I got lucky and I ducked it.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I've told this story 100 times, but I had a friend, my friend that I'm still friends with in high school.
Right.
His cousin used to sell it, and his life went down the toilet, and I watched him wither away, lost like a shitload of weight, became weird. Just always on coke, and when he wasn't on coke, he was just exhausted. It's just like, Jesus, that looks like knowing someone who got bit by a vampire.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. Like you get the bug. They got you.
Yeah,
They got you.
it's like you're taking all the energy from part of your life and concentrating it in the few hours after you do the coke. And like, well, what are you going to do with all that energy except irritate people?
But I knew a girl, and she was a great girl. She wasn't a mean person. She wasn't nasty, materialistic. She was beautiful. She was really nice and sweet and kind. But fuck, she loved coke. God damn. And she would feel bad about it. She'd go, I fucking love it. I love doing coke. And I'd be like, really? Like, what? I was not curious enough to want to do it, but listening to her, she knew it was bad, knew she shouldn't do it, didn't want to do it anymore. But she'd tell you, God damn, when I'm doing it, I love doing coke.
In my experience, the people who tend to get really hooked on coke are people who have issues. They feel bad about themselves. They feel they've got a lack of self-esteem. They feel like they're not good enough. They're not whatever. There's shame and all that because the coke takes that away for a while.
That totally makes sense in this case because this woman, her mother was like really overbearing, and her mother was like super alpha successful.
Right.
Her mother was a single mom and was like no man's gonna fucking run me. And so she was a lawyer, and she ran successful business. She had a law firm, and she was like super like intense with her daughter about achievement, about pursuing things, about don't eat the wrong foods, and eat and it was like really like overbearing, and gave her a hard time about her weight, like you're too fat, you're never going to be a model, and like and so I guess the coke was like free, I don't have to think about. It give her like maybe she had a deficit created by her mom's constant never letting her just be herself.
Yeah. You know who Gabor Mate is?
No.
He's
Gabor Mate. Right?
Yeah,
I didn't know the name. I've only seen it written.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. And if you ever want to have him on the show, let me know. He's a friend of mine. He's a very interesting guy. He's a doctor who works with addicts. He's been working with addicts in Vancouver, in like the slum part of Vancouver, for a long time. A lot of like real down and out people. And he also is very interested in alternative approaches to addiction. And he's written about ayahuasca as a way of dealing with addiction, treating addicts, and all that. But anyway, his theory is that all addiction is due to trauma. It's not. It has nothing to do with the substance or the activity. That's just how it manifests, right? But it's all about psychological trauma. It's all trying to alleviate suffering of some point, of some kind. And it's interesting. His research sort of meshes very well with this experiment that was done also in British Columbia. I can't remember. Williamson, I think, was the scientist's name. You know those famous studies where they give rats, like, they've got a water bottle, it's just water, and then another one that's got Coke in it, and the rats will just keep doing the Coke, and they'll forget to eat, and then they, like, die, like these people you're talking about, lost all this weight, and just, like, completely focused. This guy looked at that, he was a professor, a scientist, he looked at that, and he's like, okay, well, that's the sort of main study that everybody cites that shows that Coke is addictive, and it's Coke that causes the problem, and it's the substance and molecular problems. But what if we took those rats, same kind of rats, but instead of just being in a cage where there's nothing to do, put them in a really interesting environment where there are lots of other options. There are lots of other rats, there are tubes to go through and things to climb and things to hide under and lots of stimulation, right? And then let's try it. They try it. What happens? The rats do the Coke once or twice and then walk away from it. Never go back. Right. So there's an argument to be made, that a strong argument, that it's not about substances. It's, like I was saying, it's about the way this substance intersects with whatever your particular suffering is.
Right, so these rats in a cage are obviously suffering because they're not in a natural environment.
They're in a fucking cage. There's nothing to do except, like, get high, so they get high.
That's a very good point that I never considered. That is a very, very good point.
It's called Rat Park. If anyone wants to Google it, just Google Rat Park, because that's what he called this, like, sort of enclosure that he made for the rats.
Imagine being a rat, being stuck in a fucking fluorescent lighting room and the fucking metal cage and the little water bottle you got to suck on, big tube. I mean, ugh, the fucking life they live is dog shit.
Yeah, you're in a prison cell.
Yeah, well,
I imagine you got a guy in solitary confinement, right? And you're offering him to get high. Of course, he's going to get high.
And you're being surrounded by giants. Everywhere you go, there's these enormous creatures who could easily reach in and just snuff your life out by squeezing.
It's true.
It's ridiculous.
And by nature, you're terrified, right? Because you're a prey animal.
Yeah. Yeah, you should be running from everything, and all of a sudden you can't run.
You can't hide, right?
You're
Nowhere
in a cage,
to hide.
and they just reach in and grab you. And they fucking give you Coke.
Yeah, which makes you even more paranoid.
What a fucking shitty life. God damn, PETA. You might have a point.
I interviewed